Hello everyone and welcome to another YouTube video. I am Hype the Commentator and thank you all for joining me today. Today we are looking at an instant classic. We're going back to King of the Ring 1993. It was the semi-final round when Bret the Hitman Hart took on Mr. Perfect. All right, let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. It's Mr. Perfect. It's Bret the Hitman Hart, the semifinals of the 1993 King of the Ring. The bell is rung. This match is underway. Who wants it more? Who is going to advance to the finals of the King of the Ring tournament and become the 1993 King of the Ring as these two lock up, collar and elbow, center of the ring, and they break free. And they're circling. Oh, Bret looked like he was going for an attack, trying to make Mr. Perfect flinch. And now Mr. Perfect with a waist lock from behind on Bret. Bret reaches for the ropes, forcing a rope break as the referee calls for the rope break. Now pushing back, Mr. Perfect trying to keep things in order. And here we go. We're back to square one. Bret and Perfect locking up again. Bret side headlock on Perfect. And if you're Bret Hart, you need to get that sharpshooter. If you're Mr. Perfect, you need that perfect plex. That fisherman suplex of his. And now Bret Hart still holding on that side headlock. Mr. Perfect trying to push through and break free, but Bret still holding on. And now Perfect with these elbows to the midsection breaks free, but Bret with a shoulder tackle taking down Mr. Perfect. Went for an arm drag, but Bret with an arm drag of his own was like a throw. Side headlock takeover from Hart. And now a head scissor from Mr. Perfect. And just like that, Mr. Perfect is taking control. And Mr. Perfect trying to take control as he has Bret Hart's head locked in between his legs. Now Bret, side headlock once again, getting that locked in deep. And Bret has a gold hold here. And now Mr. Perfect trying to break free. Mr. Perfect sends Bret into the corner, trying to break this thing. This forces a rope break. What a thunderous chop. And these two have met before. This isn't the first time these two are meeting. And a scoop power slam, but a kick from Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect now with a slam of his own. Bret kicks out this time. Side headlock from Bret. They're picking up the pace. Look at this. These two are giving it everything they've got, trying to outpace the other. You've got one who's perfect, and you got one who is the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, and Bret the Hitman Hart. These two want to prove that they're the best, that they are the ultimate king of the ring. But first they have to get through each other, and only one of these two men can advance to the finals. Will it be Bret the Hitman Hart? Will it be Mr. Perfect? And now Mr. Perfect had that like cravat trying to break free from Bret's side headlock. Bret has that locked in deep. Mr. Perfect once again with those clubbing blows to the midsection. Breaking free. Bret turns around. Look at this. Crucifix. Crucifix 1, 2. Perfect kicks out at 2. Now a side headlock. Bret goes right back in. If it works, keep doing it. And Bret realizes that he keeps being able to catch Mr. Perfect in these side headlocks. This is brilliant. You're keeping your opponent immobilized for the time being and forcing them to exert force and energy to try and break free, which long term will cause exhaustion and weaken them as you get in the deep waters of this contest. And Bret with that side headlock still as Mr. Perfect gets back up to his feet. Both men, they're back up to a vertical base. Perfect with his elbows to the midsection. And now breaks free. Bret, oh, look at this crossbody one. Oh, and Mr. Perfect throws off Bret. Bret rolls to the outside on the floor. Bret with a huge shoulder to the midsection. Up and over, sunset flip, looks for the cover. 1, Only enough for a 1 count. Now, once again, that side headlock from Bret. Really utilizing this side headlock takeover in this match. And Bret has taken over this match. And now Mr. Perfect pulling on the hair to try and switch up the force. And these two men giving everything they've got. Mr. Perfect trying to pull himself back up, trying to get back up to a vertical base once more. And they are back up to a vertical base as Mr. Perfect tries to break free. He's been successful every time trying to break this thing, but it's taken a little bit, and it's going to take energy. You've got that arm of Bret Hart locked around your face. It's like it's clenching your jaw, putting all that pressure on the face. Mr. Perfect with a cheap shot to Bret. And the stakes are high, and now Mr. Perfect with a stomp to the midsection of Bret. And Mr. Perfect has Bret exactly where he wants him. Kick to the midsection. And if you want to be king of the ring, you got to do what it takes, but keep in the rules. You got to keep those rules in mind. And what a beautiful standing drop kick from Mr. Perfect. The height that he got on that, well, perfect. And one of the straps come down of Mr. Perfect's singlet. Perfect said in the interview he'd do anything to win it. And so far, we're seeing what he's willing to go through. But we'll as we get further into this match, we'll really see what he's willing to get through. Oh, look at this. You could see this as a sign of respect, or you can see this as disrespect, but Mr. Perfect holding the rope, allowing Bret to get back in the ring. But now a boot to the midsection. And now trying to push the ref out of the way so he can get to Bret. Mr. Perfect sending Bret head first into that top turnbuckle. What impact. And now Mr. Perfect with a thunderous chop to the Hitman. Now, what an axe forearm to the back. Stomp to the head. Absolutely devastating. And Mr. Perfect picking up Bret. Boom. What a big boot. Goes to the cover. 1, 2. Only enough for a 2. What a near fall as this match continues. Oh, what a kick to the ribs again. Mr. Perfect really going after these ribs of Bret Hart. This is smart. You're weakening one particular part of your opponent. He's been going after that midsection, those ribs, since the beginning. What a chop from Mr. Perfect on the outside of the ring. These two fighting on the ring apron. Bret sent head first in the ring apron. Mr. Perfect rolls back in the ring, perhaps looking for a count-out victory. He said by any means necessary. And count-out victory is included. And Bret back up to his feet, pulling himself up on the ropes. Now back up on the ring apron. What a right from Mr. Perfect, but Bret still hanging on to the ring apron. And now swings Bret. Oh my! Bret just gets thrown right into the guardrail. Oh my. And now Mr. Perfect could be closing in. This could be a count out. Bret Hart holding onto that knee. Bret Hart holding onto that knee. This isn't looking good for the Hitman. Perfect could be moving to the finals just a matter of moments. All he's got to do is get 10 more seconds at Bret favoring that knee, that right knee. But Mr. Perfect going to the outside. And now the ref telling Mr. Perfect get back in the ring. But Bret on the outside. And now pulls Bret by the hair, pulls him back up to the apron. Mr. Perfect with a huge right, taking on Bret. Bret gets back in the ring. And it's all about advancing to the finals of the King of the Ring. And so far, Mr. Perfect has been in control and only enough for a 2 count. Mr. Perfect has taken control these last few minutes of this match. Bret Hart had a good start with those side headlocks, but Mr. Perfect has really picked it up, really found his footing in this match. And now is in control, knocking down Bret with a clubbing right. And Mr. Perfect looking to go up high, heading up to the top. What is Mr. Perfect thinking? High risk, high reward. When the stakes are high, you gotta go higher. And Mr. Perfect with a missile drop kick off the top turnbuckle. 1, 2. Oh, but Bret able to get his foot on the bottom rope. Now double hook the legs. 2. Bret able to kick out the second time. Great ring awareness from Bret, realizing that how close he was to that bottom rope. Oh, and Mr. Perfect sending Bret chest first. 2. Just barely a 2 count. Trying to wear out Bret Hart. But with every cover that Bret has to kick out of, he exhausts more and more energy. And you got to think that's got to be a part of Mr. Perfect's plan. And Mr. Perfect looking to head up to the top once more. If it ain't broken, don't fix it. Boom. What a right chest. But this time, Bret able to catch Mr. Perfect before he can jump off the top. Mr. Perfect looking for a superplex, perhaps. And a superplex center of the ring. What a move. Goes for the cover. 1, 2. No. Oh, so close. Mr. Perfect kicking out at 2. Bret thought he had it. Both men are tired. Both men have really gone through it in this bout. But both men want to be called the king of the ring. Now Bret kicks the back of the knee of Mr. Perfect. Back of the left knee. And again, Mr. Perfect just folding inside out. Perhaps going for that sharpshooter. Oh, figure 4. Going for that figure 4. Instead, this is going to weaken the knee of Mr. Perfect and really do some damage. Mr. Perfect writhing in pain. He may have to tap. Mr. Perfect doesn't know what to do. He has nowhere to go. He's in the center of the ring in no man's land. Mr. Perfect screaming, writhing in pain. And the ref had to jump over. Oh, what a thumb to the eye of Bret. But Bret still not letting go. Pulling back on that leg. He could snap the leg of Mr. Perfect. He could snap the leg of Mr. Perfect right here, right now. He could be close to giving up. Pulling on his hair, trying to just fight through the pain the best he can. But Bret has really got that figure 4 locked in deep. Mr. Perfect seems to be trying to shift the weight to his favor. If he can get to his stomach, he'll reverse all of it. But he can't. And just like that, oh, Mr. Perfect makes it to the bottom rope. And Bret is forced to break the hold. But takes a few seconds, realizes he has till the count of 5 before it's considered a disqualification. Taking full advantage of that 5 count. Just like that, Bret Hart back in control of this contest. Going after that knee of Mr. Perfect. Sweeps the back of the leg. Elbow drop onto the knee. And now has that leg in between his legs and pulling on the leg. That's going to do some damage to the knee. And Bret has that sharpshooter in mind when he's going after this knee of Mr. Perfect. Once he connects that sharpshooter, Mr. Perfect may be forced to tap out with all the damage that's been done to his knee so far. Mr. Perfect shifting things around, breaking free. These men both giving it everything they've got. I can't even imagine the condition either of these men will be when they head to the finals. Who will it be? Will it be Bret? Will it be Perfect? Back up to their feet. And now Mr. Perfect sending Bret face first into that top turnbuckle. 2 of the very best athletes in the WWF today. And now Mr. Perfect just throws Bret Hart across the ring. And a handful of hair. But Mr. Perfect, once again, might I bring up, saying that he's going to do whatever it takes, whatever I have to do to head to the finals, to win, to become the king of the ring in 1993. He's going to do whatever it takes. Mr. Perfect as Bret sends him to the ropes. Bret gets caught in a sleeper. Look at this from Mr. Perfect. Bret had the rope, but then sent him back. And now pulling back, Bret may be forced to tap out. Mr. Perfect now with a submission of his own. Bret had that figure 4 earlier. Now Mr. Perfect with a sleeper looking to put Bret to sleep. As Bret starts to fade away, trying to pull through, trying to give it everything he's got. Can he do it? Mr. Perfect trying to hang on. Bret trying to pull himself back up. Can he do it? Ref watching this thing closely. Bret tried to pull in the hair to try and break things up, but unable to do so. And now Mr. Perfect still has that sleeper. Bret makes it to the ropes, forcing a rope break. And now ref starting to count. If Mr. Perfect doesn't let go before the count of 5, he'll be disqualified. He better break that hold. And he breaks the hold. Trying to slap that knee. Get some feeling back into it. Bret's done a lot of damage to that knee of Mr. Perfect. To that left knee. And now Mr. Perfect picks up Bret. Thunderous chop to Hart. And now a sleeper hold once again. Looking to put Bret to sleep. Looking to put Hart not in the finals. Looking to put himself in the finals. Oh, look at this. Using the ropes for leverage. Look at this. The ref doesn't see it because of the way he's positioned. Mr. Perfect taking full advantage of realizing where the ref is looking and where he's not. And then use that bottom rope for some leverage. As he holds this sleeper deeper and deeper. Locking it in as Bret starts to fade away. Mr. Perfect could be moments away from heading to the finals. All it's going to take is a tap or a passing out. And Mr. Perfect is headed to the finals. But Bret back up to one knee. Bret is somehow finding this. I don't know where he's pulling this from. We're in the deep waters of this thing. These two have given it everything they've got. They both want to get to the finals, but only one can advance. And now Bret breaks free. Bret is back up to his feet as Mr. Perfect on the mat with his hand covering his bad knee, holding it, trying to nurse that knee. And Bret trying to give, boom, what an uppercut. What an uppercut from Hart. And now sending Mr. Perfect head first into that top turnbuckle. And now just throwing Mr. Perfect across the ring. Oh! And the family jewels may have come in contact with that ring post. That's not going to feel good. And now Bret picks up Perfect. Inverted atomic drop. Russian leg sweep. 1, 2, no. Only enough for a 2 count. Another near fall. Bret limping. The damage has been done to both men. What a leg drop to Mr. Perfect. Bret could be closing in on a victory. And now Bret sidewalk into a backbreaker. Bret pulls himself up to the middle turnbuckle. He's exactly where he wants to be. Boom, and that elbow off the middle turnbuckle. And just like that, Bret's really turned this thing around. Goes to the cover. 1, 2, no. And Mr. Perfect kicks out. Bret exhausted. Mr. Perfect exhausted. Both men giving it everything they've got. Bret looking for that sharpshooter, looking for that sharpshooter, looking for that sharpshooter, but Mr. Perfect breaking that hold. Seemed to rake the eyes, it looked like, for a second. Breaking the hold. Now has Hart by the hands, trying to break the hand of Bret Hart. Oh, stomps on the hand. Absolutely devastating. Absolutely brutal. And now Mr. Perfect stomping away strategically on Bret Hart. Pulling him back up. This thing could be over. Looking for that perfect plex. It seems perfect plex coming up, but Bret blocking it. Bret's blocking it. Best he can, using his strength. Using the strength in his legs to block it. Bret once again blocking that perfect plex. And now a suplex. Both men dumped to the outside onto the floor. Both men are dumped to the outside on the floor. Who's going to get back up to their feet first? Who's going to take control of this matchup? Both men giving it everything they've got. Who wants it more? Mr. Perfect is back up to his feet first. Interestingly, Bret was the one who gave Mr. Perfect the move to the outside, but it seems Bret got the worst of it, and Mr. Perfect in control. Could win by count up, but no, Bret Hart rolls back into the ring. Both men exhausted. Both men trying to get out. Roll up. 1. Inside cradle. 2. Bret 1, 2, 3. And Bret gets it. Bret Hart is headed to the finals. Mr. Perfect can't believe it. He thought he had Bret, but Bret outsmarting Mr. Perfect with a roll-up of his own. In the end, Bret Hart was victorious and is heading to the finals of this tournament, this King of the Ring tournament 1993. Mr. Perfect had some words for Bret. Rolls to the outside of the ring. You can see the frustration in Mr. Perfect. He thought he had it, but Bret Hart able to pull through and in the end picking up the victory here at King of the Ring. He can't believe it. And in the end, Bret Hart has won the semifinal round against Mr. Perfect in the King of the Ring 1993 tournament. All right, everybody. And that was Bret the Hitman Hart versus Mr. Perfect at the 1993 King of the Ring. It was the semifinals. In the end, it would be a roll-up from Bret Hart to advance to the finals, where he would go on to defeat Bam Bam Bigelow to become the 1993 King of the Ring winner. And thank you all for joining me for today's video. Thank you all for all the love and support, all the messages. I appreciate all the comments, all the likes on the videos. Thank you all for sticking with me on this journey. Don't forget, follow me on all my socials at Hype the Commentator on Instagram, on Twitch, on TikTok, right here on YouTube, and Hype Commentator on X. Thank you all for sticking with me on this journey, and I will see you all in the next one.